right. Thank you so much for downloading today's episode of the Red Pill Investor. My name's John Ashley, a pseudonym of a realtor here in the great state of Arizona, here to help you with your real estate sales skills. Why? Well, it's just sort of my way to pay it forward for all the people who've given me the tips, the tricks, the things to say to get the contract signed when I needed it the most. Their only request of me, well, simply pay it forward. Thank you so much for downloading today's episode of the Red Pill Investor. I'll do my very best to go ahead and give you some content, a few ideas today that I think will help you in your real estate business. Now, today's episode is going to be unlike any other. In this particular episode, what I'm going to share with you is a full coaching session that I would give you. If you were in one-on-one coaching, one of my executive one-on-ones, and let's pretend that you had gone ahead and decided to continue coaching after the first introductory month. I mean, the first month is pretty much the standard stuff. You know, first week we pretty much talk about building your center of influence and how to get 10% of them to go ahead and start referring you business for free. The second week we start talking about creating a perpetual lead system for yourself that gives you leads night and day. Then, of course, the third week, we start talking about a lot of the time management and the magic hour and taking really possession of your time and mastery of it. And then in the fourth week, we start talking about pulling it all together and moving forward to make it a systematic, duplicatable, replicatable wholesale business for yourself. Now, there are those, who continue on in coaching after that. And after they do, then this is the type of message that they would hear. I agree that you could go ahead and do very, very well in your career as a realtor, as a wholesaler, as a realtor investor. You could do extremely well. As a matter of fact, for many of you, you probably don't even need coaching. However, if you're new, it doesn't matter if it's me or anybody else for that matter. Don't ever short yourself with the possibility of knowing something more, especially if it's something that could potentially bring you money. So in today's message, I'm going to share with you for free exactly what I would tell you if I was in one-on-one coaching with you in that environment. Exactly what I would tell you. Now, it may take a little bit of time. I promise it's not going to take a full hour, but I will do what I can to go ahead and give you the best information that I can. Now, understand, in executive one-on-one coaching, you would have a recording of this sent to you via email, but if you've got a pen and you got a piece of paper, I want you to go ahead and write down my first executive one-on-one lesson. You could just say my first one, that's yours, right, for you. You can entitle it, How to Gain a Competitive Advantage. How to gain a competitive advantage. See, it's my belief, now more than ever, there are more and more wholesalers, more and more realtors. There's just more competition out there. No matter how you slice it, there's more bandit signs, there's more letters going out, there's a new guru every day with a program to sell. The real estate schools are filling to the brim with smiling, eager young faces. Now more than ever, you need to have some kind of competitive advantage. And it's my belief that there are several, but one of those is happiness. You see, to me, I believe happiness is probably the single greatest competitive advantage you could have in this marketplace. Here's what I mean. So let's just say, for the sake of argument, that it's you versus, I don't know, maybe one or two other guys. And now, everybody is in a competitive state. You know how it is. Sometimes people want to pay a little too much, or maybe even if they think that there's somebody that's a potential competitor, they might pay more than they might ordinarily have done. But no matter what the circumstances, now you're a little less than happy. And when you're a little less than happy, you're making choices that you shouldn't need to make. Homeowners can smell that. If you were a real estate agent, they would say that that is commission breath. See, what really comes down to it in a competitive environment, and I've been in several. In 19 years, I've been in a couple competitive environments, and let me tell you, when it comes down to it, you have to be mentally tough. You have to be mentally tough. So let's just think about that for a minute. What does mentally tough, being mentally tough, what does that mean to you? When I say be mentally tough, what does that mean? For some people, it means that they can do this, they can do that. For me, I think of that mental toughness means the ability to stay mentally motivated and physically strong during times of adversity. When you think about it, when people are telling you no day in and day out, listen, this is not an easy business, okay? It's going to take its toll. Oh, sure, we can all get razzed up in some kind of oorah ceremony. Yay! Get really, really, razzed up in a motivational sort of way. But when it gets down to the streets, it's a little bit harder to live by. Being mentally tough is the ability to stay mentally motivated. Yes, I can do this. And physically strong. I can make it, right? You know how it is when you feel at the end of the day, you're just dragging dirt and you just can't feel like you can make it. Man, you got to feel physically strong. You don't have too many times to really make a good impression. Think about it. Who you are determines your productivity when you don't feel like it. That's really the truth about life, isn't it? Who you are fundamentally at your core determines how productive you will be when you don't feel like doing the job. See, the key to mental toughness, at least in my mind, is developing that feeling of happiness through, you got to develop that feeling of happiness. You got to develop a feeling of confidence for sure. And you got to develop a feeling of satisfaction. Here's what I mean by that. If point number one is, that happiness is the single greatest competitive advantage you could have, if that's true, well, understand that to do that, you got to develop this feeling of happiness, and you got to develop a feeling of confidence, and you got to develop a feeling of satisfaction. But how hard is it to be happy when you're unconfident about something? I mean, when you don't know what to say, you don't know what to do, you don't know how to handle that sales situation, how easy is it for you to be happy about it? Ooh, I'm just so glad to be here. Or are you more like, boy, I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen. I hope I have a good exit strategy. Listen, if you're thinking of exit strategies, man, you're thinking the wrong way. You got to have some confidence about this. You got to develop that feeling of confidence. But how do you develop a feeling of confidence? By knowing what to say, by taking the time to learn the scripts, the skills, the learns, the words, the tips, the techniques, the things you got to do, putting in the work. That's how you develop the confidence. So you can develop this feeling of happiness. But even that doesn't always work. Because you and I both know sometimes it just doesn't work out. You can try your best, the home doesn't sell. You got egg on your face. That's where you got to develop this feeling of satisfaction. Understand a feeling of satisfaction that you know you did your best. That you put forth your best effort, that you studied the best you could, you learned the best you could at the time, you did the best information you could at the time, and it just didn't work out. You had, or better yet, it did work out, and you did save the day, and you were the hero who got him out of that that spot, that terrible situation. Whatever it was, good or bad, when you have the confidence to know that you can help them in a great situation, and you have the confidence to know how to do it, well, then you're going to be happy to give it to them. And say, yeah, sure, no problem. And happiness, my friend, when you're happy, you're standing out, you're proud, you're loud and proud against the competitors. Guess what? That gives you a competitive advantage. But it requires you to be mentally tough, and that is tough to do. How do you get to be mentally tough? How do you stay confident when things ain't working out? How do you stay happy when people tell you no? To me, it's pretty simple. You have to resolve your conflicting beliefs about real estate. That's really where it is. You got to resolve those conflicting beliefs that you have in your head about real estate. I'm scared to grow my business, but I want more, right? That's one. I want more money. I want more deals. I want more transactions, but I'm afraid of the sacrifice it takes. I don't see the payoff. And so because I don't see the payoff, I need to go and get into multi-level marketing or sell diabetic test strips or whatever. You got to resolve these conflicting beliefs you have about real estate in your head and quit making real estate wrong. If you ever want to have a competitive advantage in your life, stop making real estate wrong. Just accept it for what it is. Okay? It isn't what it used to be. Oh yeah, I remember those days. Put a sign in the yard, 2 or 3, 4 offers in 10 minutes or full price or more, or when you're a wholesaler, when everything was available at 10 cents on that. Yeah, things were great back in the day, right? We were all sold on a dream. Okay, you were sold on a dream. It's just the way it was. You have big cars, paychecks, big, whatever, right? When you think about it, nobody ever sat you down and told you specifically what it would take to be successful. Nobody told you that you'd have to work your butt off. You'd have to talk to a whole lot of new people. You'd have to follow up with those people. You'd probably have to pre-qualify them to make sure that they could actually do or buy or sell something. And then you'd have to make some kind of coherent presentation so you didn't sound like a blubbering idiot. And then you had to make some kind of closing presentation to help them make a decision that was powerful for them. Nobody ever sat you down and told you that. They just said, hey, go mail this, and then somebody's going to come in 50,000 less, and somebody else is going to do 50,000 more, and you're going to make 10,000, and voila, there you go. Do it a whole bunch, and you got cake. Listen. Stop pretending what you're going through right now is temporary. Okay? I've heard that for 19 years. Oh. Well, when the government stops buying up these homes and offering them out at 4% co-op, then things will get better. Oh, when the interest rates come down from 7%, right? When they come down from 7%, things will get better. Oh, well, when the market slows down a bit, then things will get better. Oh, when the banks stop foreclosing, things will get better. When the shadow inventory goes away, things will get better. When this mailing goes out, things will get better. Listen, things ain't getting better. Stop pretending that this is temporary. This is the way it is. Understand that someday never comes. So do what you want now. Stop waiting for tomorrow. Jump in the river, get in there, and get what's yours. Point number 2. If you want to be phenomenally different, you want to stand out, you want to beat your competitors like a drum. Practice point number 2. Point number 2, practice detachment. Practice detachment. You see, practicing detachment does not mean apathy. It doesn't mean that you don't care. What it does mean, however, is that you care, but there are other fish in the sea. Now, there's 4 ways to do this. If you got a pencil, I'd write down A, show up. Show up. Now, I know it seems pretty elementary, but show up mentally, physically, and emotionally. It's so critical that you do that. Show up physically. Don't be late. It's just as easy to be 10 minutes early as it is to be 10 minutes late. Don't come blowing in there. Oh my God, you'll never believe the freeway traffic was crazy, right? That is an insane approach to real estate. Why on earth would you ever be late? Be early. I guarantee you your competitors aren't. If you're having trouble being on time, don't you think your competitors probably are too? Yeah, you better believe it. It's just a fact. So be early. It's a simple thing to do. Show up physically. Have your papers in order. Have a file together. Have your contract written out nicely. Don't have everything strewn out all over the place. Have a professional presentation. Look like a professional. Don't look like some schmuck that just got out of a guru weekend camp. Good Lord, have some self-respect. Show up mentally. Show up mentally. If you want to beat your competitor like a drum, make him go home crying to his mama, wanting to get out of this business and go back to selling diabetic test strips, then here's what you do. Show up mentally. Stop thinking about all the crappy things going on in your life and how this needs to be done and how this transaction over here is getting that and maybe this over. Stop getting distracted. Mentally pay attention. You've got 20 minutes or less to make for them to make a decision on you. People just don't have the time. Think about it. In your own life, isn't it a fact when you're watching some kind of sitcom or something, you can't even sit through a whole thing without looking at your smartphone, checking out Facebook or Twitter or Instagram or Pinteresting while you're doing something? Think about it. We are a multitasking society. The concept that you've got anything more than 20 minutes with them is a fallacy. Be there mentally. Be present. Show up emotionally. See, differently than mentally, emotionally showing up means that you're leaving your baggage at the door. Okay, now this is a hard thing for most of you to accept. But the cold, hard truth is the seller, honestly, according to 97.86% of the respondents in a made-up study that I made for this joke, said that they don't care about you. The reality is they just don't care. They've got nothing but, they got all these other things. So leave your emotional baggage at the door about, I got this going on in my life, I got that going on in my life, your argument with your spouse, or your kids, or you're worried about this. Listen, they don't deserve your baggage. If you want to up your game and do this professionally, then leave your story at the door. They deserve the best out of you. Up your game. Practice detachment by showing up. Practice detachment by paying attention. That's B. You can practice detachment by paying attention. See, when you know what to say, that's why I tell you guys so often to focus on the scripts, to pay attention. When you know what to say, then you're not fumbling in your head over the things you should be saying. How many times have you been in that situation where the customer said to you, You can come in, take a look all you want, but we're not going to take anything less than such and such. We had another investor come in and he offered us such and such, and we ain't going to take it. They're penny less than that. How many times have you been in that spot, heard that, and then had your mind spinning? Oh, Jesus, what am I supposed to say? No. Oh, geez. Oh, God, right? And the whole time you're going through the house, this whole thing is going on. You're trying to figure out how you're going to handle it. And then he says, well, my wife's got that job in Tuscaloosa. If I could get her there, we'd be really happy. But if we don't get it sold, she's going to lose that job. And that's not going to be a lot of fun for anybody. Because you are so worried about what you're going to say, you miss the thing that could have got you the sale. Point B, pay attention. C, tell the truth. Tell the truth. You want to practice detachment, beat your customers like a drum, make them beg? Tell the truth. How often do you find yourself in that situation where you're competing against other people who lie? I know it's hard to believe, but other wholesalers or perhaps other agents may be incorrect in their assumption of price. They could be conceptually artistically advantageous, right? They're really going out there for it, right? Look, when you tell the truth to somebody, it's not like they're stupid. They're not living in a cave in Kazakhstan where Cox hasn't got to it with a cable yet. Listen, they've got internet. Okay, they're going through Zillow. They kind of know what things are. Yes, Zillow's not the best, but they got an idea of what things are. They probably have a friend. They might have a family member or somebody who's a realtor or somebody who's kind of giving them some ideas from someplace. Or, listen, people aren't dumb. And they're not going to just treat their single greatest possession as if it's just some kind of Amazon gift thing that they're going to, dole out with a microwave. It's not going to work that way. Tell them the truth and you'll stand out. They'll respect you for it. Yeah, it may not make them happy, but they'll surely respect you for it. D, don't be attached to the outcome. Don't be attached to the outcome. See, it's so hard, this part. When you start thinking about what you're trying to accomplish, your biggest challenge is you see the dollars on the other side. You see it as a highly motivated seller and you think, oh, yes, right? Like Tommy Boy. Like Tommy Boy. Every time I see a sale, I just love my little sale and I destroy it, right? When you think about it, the dollars is what gets you mixed up. You start thinking about the dollars and the money you can make and this and that and the other thing, and then you start getting attached to the outcome. Listen, when you're more focused on getting the customer what they want and not you, okay, when you're committed to the other people, listen, you're unoffendable. That's what makes you different. It makes you unoffendable. Do you get it? No matter what they say to you, no matter what a person does, it doesn't offend you when you're committed to other people. See, it's selfishness. Selfishness. This is what leads to attachment. This is where you get into problems. Well, I think it should be this price. So right? That's what you think. I think it should be this kind of price and they say ARV and I get a fee of, right? That's the little dialogue that goes in your head. That's selfishness. You're not committed to the customer. You're not committed to getting him what he wants. You're not committed to helping him get out of his situation. You're concerned about your fee. And that's why you're not getting what you want to get in the life you want to get. It's because you're not concerned about others. You're concerned about yourself. Life's too smart for you. Point number 3. Third way to stand out. Eliminate your options. If you want to stand out amongst your peers, eliminate your options. See, that's why you don't end up doing what you want to do. In your life, this is why you don't end up doing what you want to do. It's because you have too many options. The reality is accountability is that opportunity to live by choice rather than by accident. That's really what it boils down to in life. So you have to ask yourself, if that's really true, if accountability is the key to live my life by my choices rather than by accident, right? If that's the key to my life, well, then where do I need accountability in my life? If that's the key, honestly, for me to get what I want, where do I get it? Well, first, you got to get accountability in your schedule. That's probably the first place to start. If I was to look at your schedule, would you want me to see it? That's a good question. You need accountability there. The second area you'd probably need accountability. You'd need accountability in lead generation, prospecting, things like that. Yeah. Without business coming in, you've got no business. So if you don't take the time to schedule something for your life, right? If you don't have your schedule accountable, you don't have your prospecting accountable, that's not going to work well for you. But if you do have accountability for your schedule. And if you do have accountability for your prospecting, well, guess what? You're going to need accountability for your third area, which is money. Buddy, you're going to be spending it. Think about it. Any kind of problem you got in your life, it doesn't matter what it is. Any problem you have in your life, my mentor Mike Ferry taught me this in spades. Any problem you got in your life can be fixed by prospecting. That's true. Now I'd add to that if you make commitments, you create accountabilities for yourself, and make a plan to get it done, guess what? You are unstoppable. There's nothing you can't do. Point 4. The fourth thing you can do. How to step aside and be different and have other sellers look at you in a certain way, and how to make that happen for yourself. Point number 4, learn how to make and keep promises to yourself and others. Learn how to make and keep promises to yourself and others. See, the reality of this life is simply this. We're really, really, really good at making promises. I mean, ever since we were little kids, right? Our parents say, hey, don't do that. Okay. Little girl, little boy tells you this, and like, pinky swear? Sure, pinky swear, right? We're really good at making promises. We've been doing it our whole life. We got that making promises skill down pat. But the keeping promises part, well, that's a little bit more challenging. When you learn how to make and actually keep promises to yourself and others, you're going to see your life develop in a strangely unique way. You have to understand there is no try in life. Either you will or you won't. That's just the way it is. There isn't any trying. And when it comes to keeping your promises, either you're going to keep your promises or you will not keep your promises. That's as simple as that. So what you want to think about is, well, what is the promise and how can I use it to my advantage? Well, a promise is simply a condition that supports your commitments rather than your moods. I want to repeat that because I think you need to write that down if you haven't. Understand that a promise creates a condition that supports your commitments rather than your moods. Here's what I mean. If you are promising, let's say, that you are going to do anything, role play, practice, prospect, jog, whatever. If you create a promise to do that, that creates a condition. Now, you'll remember from objections and objection handling that there's really two really different kinds of things. You've got an objection, which is a question in the mind of your prospect. You're talking to them about selling the home to you at a particular price, and they're like, well, I don't know, I think XYZ. That's an objection. It's a question in their mind that just needs to be answered. No problem. A condition, on the other hand, you'll remember, is something that can't be changed. It's a situation. Like their dad isn't there and they're the one that's on the title and he needs to sign too, right? There's no sense in beating her over the head trying to close her if dad's not there. It's a condition, right? No sense in it. So you wait till dad gets home, then you close. The reality is a promise creates a condition, just like that. Something that needs to, be addressed, right? You can't do anything until that gets addressed. A promise creates a condition that instead of actually making your life worse, like that dad where it needs to sign, you have to make your, second trip out there, it actually makes your life better by supporting your commitments, whatever that commitment is, like bike riding, jogging, prospecting, whatever, rather than your moods, which is, oh God, it's so cold in the morning. I don't want to get out of the bed. It's so warm in here and cold out there. I don't feel like it. Listen, a promise creates a condition that supports your commitments rather than your moods. You've got to understand, every dream you've ever had in life, every dream, think of any dream you ever had. Maybe you've got your wife, right? Those nights where you're just sort of quietly talking with her and, you're just rubbing your hand through her hair and it's really quiet and kids are finally asleep and you guys are talking about going to Bora Bora or the Bahamas or cruise or all those little promises you keep telling her that you're going to do for her. A promise is just a condition, right? And every dream you ever had, Bora Bora, the cruise, the Bahamas, it's just a promise kept away. Keep that promises. All you have to do is keep the promises that you make. And if you can keep the promises that you make to yourself as well as others, that stands out like a sore thumb. When you're talking to a seller, you tell them you're going to be calling them at a certain day and time, and you do, that stands out. When you say you'll be here at a certain time, you're there, that stands out. When you give them documents because you said you would, that stands out. Let me tell you, learn how to make and keep promises to yourself and others, and you will stand out. Point number 5. Set your life up so that success is natural for you. Set your life up so success is natural for you. Understand this, when you are in a resale business or a wholesale business, you can't do large numbers of transactions if you have to focus on the minutia. So you need to have at least 4 systems to really give you any kind of integrity in your business. I mean, when you think of your business a lot like let's say, a car. You got to have some wheels, you got to have an engine, you got to have a steering wheel, you got to have some seats. When you think about it, your business is the same way. If you want to get from point A to point B, just do 1 transaction, 2 transactions, sure, walk, have a great day. But if you want to race and you want to do multiple transactions, or you want to have a little bit easier on your feet, well, then perhaps it's a good idea to get some structural integrity in your business and set your life up so that success is a natural part of it. That's just the way it is, man. You go outside, you grow, you put water on the ground, the grass grows. It's just life. It happens. It can be the same way for your business. Life, look, your business is not meant to be difficult. It isn't. This is a simple business. Buy low, sell high. We make it complicated. The first system that you need to have in your business, in my mind, lead generation systems. Lead generation systems. Now, it's true. There are a lot of people out there who make a fortune, let's say, off selling lead generation systems because it's flashy and it's sexy and it's ooh, right? Everybody likes that, and so it's the really magical snake oil for the whatever, and it doesn't, whatever. Fine, that's cool. We all need to have that. Okay, that's cool. Need to have some kind of lead generation system. But the second thing you need to have is a lead follow-up system. Because what good does it really have or mean for you to have leads that, for whatever reason, are very, very motivated, but you don't follow up with them or you fail to find them in time because they're buried in all the bad leads that you've got? Remember, bad leads bury the good ones. So you got to have some lead follow-up systems to help you so you don't have these leads get clogged up. Because remember, 70% of your appointments comes from lead follow-up. It's not the first time around. It comes from lead follow-up, so you got to find systems for that. Third system you got to have, negotiation systems. You got to have negotiation systems. See, the reality of this business is it's not as simple as just once and done. It would be great if we could just make an offer and the seller would be overjoyed and they would take it and we could go into escrow and everybody would be happy. That would be ideal. Unfortunately, they don't always see it the same way. So we got to go with this little back and forth thing. And then to compound matters, sometimes you add professionals in there like attorneys, realtors. Well, everybody's got their own thing. So you've got to find a way to quickly negotiate a bunch of properties quickly. Now, if you're only doing a couple, fine. That's not a big deal. But if you want to do a lot, you've got to develop some kind of negotiation system so you can do it quickly and painlessly. The fourth structure you need, a deal pending system. A deal pending system for your wholesale business. When you think about it, okay, if you're in residential resale, then this would be a little bit more of a pronounced problem. Because anything could happen. You've got appraisals, you've got inspections, you've got this, you've got that. But the reality is, in a wholesale transaction, for the most part, your deal pending system is just a function of the length of time you have it pending. So if you're an executive one-on-one, my recommendation to you there is to go ahead and make your deal pending systems a very, very, very short escrow. Less than 3 weeks. Close in less than 3 weeks. You see, when your systems are functioning properly, if you're driving from, New York to LA in your car, it's a long drive. Lots of stops along the way. But when your systems are functioning properly, then you don't experience any fear, any doubt, any concern. You don't even think about it. It's like you just turn, boom, boom, and it works. Well, that's the way your real estate business can run if you let it. Point number 6. The sixth way to stand out from your customers. Stand out from your competition, not your customers. To stand out from your competition. The sixth way you can do that. Set standards for yourself and your business. Set standards for yourself and your business. And don't waver. Set standards for yourself and your business and just don't waver. Listen, whatever's acceptable to you in your business, fine. But whatever's not acceptable to you, then stick with it. Now, in my mind, you need to have at least 3 particular standards that you need to have set up in your business, in my mind. If you're going to do this professionally, now if you want to do this being an amateur and You like, running little paper signs that say diabetic test strips for sale in the middle of the night, and you like slapping them on telephone poles and stuff. If that's your thing, then cool, don't worry about point number 6. But if you want to up your game and get paid better, then go to point number 6 and start putting in these 3 standards. Number 1, prospect at least an hour to 3 hours a day. At least an hour to 3 hours a day, depending on your skill level. If you're brand new, really there's no reason why you can't prospect for an hour a day. I mean, honestly, there's 23 hours in a day. You probably spend an hour of that playing video games or in the bathroom or talking to your friends or on Facebook. Look, spend an hour of your day prospecting. Now, if you've got more time, if you're full-time, something along those lines, then 2.5 to 3 hours a day. If you prospected 2.5 to 3 hours per day, 5 days a week, I guarantee you, you're not going to have many problems, if any. Next standard I would set up for myself, you want to separate yourself from every other wholesaler, every other swinging person in your office, in your town. Call your customers at least one time a week. Tell the customer, check it out, I'm going to call you at least once a week, let you know exactly what's going on as we go on in the process. I don't want to treat you like a mushroom, perhaps like maybe my competitors might. I'm going to keep you in the light. I'm going to tell you everything I know the second I know it. Keep them informed, even if nothing's going on. I used to call them once a week on Friday, right about 10 o'clock. That way I could leave a message. That way I wouldn't necessarily have to talk to them, If they're happy, and most of the time they're happy with that. I mean, they just want to know that you're alive, that you're there, that things are okay, and things are, people are thinking about. That's what they want to know. And if they have problems, then they'll call you. But generally, if you call them on a Friday, then that's going to keep them happy, because when do problems happen? Over the weekend. I mean, if you wait till Monday to call them, guess what? That's festered all weekend long. Ugh, you don't want that call. Call them at least once a week. They'll refer people to you that way. The third standard, you got to do some kind of physical standard for yourself. Some kind of physical standard. In order for you to remain at tip-top Olympic level competition sort of level, right? You got to start to establish some kind of physical routine for yourself. Whether that be working out, whether that be getting proper rest, good nutrition, you've got to start setting standards for your life. You are a finely tuned machine. Okay, you know scripts, you know skills, you know how to sell. Look, don't sell yourself short and treat yourself like a sumo wrestler, okay? You're going to make your life only hell, and you're going to make your customers even worse. Treat yourself right. Point number 7. You can't be on all the time. You can't be on all the time. Look, one of the biggest things that kills you when you're trying to compete with everybody else is you've got this mindset that I need to be here 24/7 at my customer's command. I can help you 24/7. Let's do this, let's do that, blah, 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 blah. That is a surefire recipe to burnout. If you want to get burned out in your business, do that. Be on all the time, right? Listen, you've got to plan your rest cycles. You can't run a finely tuned machine at full speed 24/7 and not expect entropy to occur. You can't expect breakdowns not to occur. If you don't, then you're a fool. You've got to allow time for it to rest and maintain and get some maintenance on it, right? Same thing. And point number 8, understand. In order for you to be different, aside from all these other 7 points, you've got to recognize that when things ain't always working out for you, point number 8, recognize that breakdown is part of the process. That's just part of it. See, when you're fully detached from the situation, and let's say you lose. Let's say you did. You got to understand that breakdown, when things don't work, is part of the process. And the bigger the breakdown you have, well, consequently, the bigger the breakthrough you'll get. That's the way it works. You see, success is nothing more than a series of well-controlled breakdowns. That's all it is. Well-controlled breakdowns, man. You think everything's just perfect and hunky-dory. It's a straight line to the stars. No, it ain't. It's not that way at all. It's breakdown and breakthrough and top of the mountains and the valleys and all the points in between. It's just a series of well-controlled breakdowns. When you're in the midst of an uncontrollable breakdown, that is when you're in trouble. Understand that life adjusts to your commitments. Not the other way around. That's just the way it works. Life adjusts to your commitments and what you want in your life, not the other way around. So guys, thank you so much for listening in. I hope these 8 points about how to demolish your competition will help you. Please, by all means, like, share, rate on iTunes. If you like this episode, do me a favor. Share it on your social networks. I would really be honored if you would. Thank you so much, and have a powerful sales day. Bye-bye.